I had a birthday. I had a pre-birthday massage scheduled last night. Didn't make it.
How do you feel about the fact that he did not draft who you wanted him to be?
Now, I will remind everybody that I said I fully expected the Texans to do the conventional wisdom thing and draft Clowney, and that's what they did. I didn't say I wanted them to.
Oh, quit waffling.
No. I did say that at that time. And Mike Morris printed it. So, justified.
Somebody asked O'Brien to.
It'll be a really long council meeting. The day after Memorial Day, or the Wednesday after Memorial Day, we will have a consolidated council meeting. I had planned to load vehicles for hire on that agenda as well, figuring it would be tagged and sorted out later, but that will mean that the council chamber would be filled with all those folks too. So now I have to go think about how we handle that situation. I want to offer my public appreciation to the council members who stayed till the bitter end last night and to the bitter end last week and the week before. It's been a long few weeks for council members who have been dealing with the Houston Equal Rights Ordinance. But I also want to thank the many citizens of Houston who weighed in for and against for the remarkable civility and respect they have displayed to each other and to the members of council hearing their testimony. To have standing room only here in the chamber, standing room only in the annex chamber, and everyone coexisting in relative peace is very much a testament to the citizens of Houston.
I mean, what do you think it's going to take for you to get this actually passed in 2 weeks?
We have enough votes to pass it today. The question is, do we pass it with a minimum number of council members, or do we take the time to make sure that all council members are completely comfortable and that the citizens have fully vetted the issues? We made a lot of progress today. The ordinance is improved. I'm particularly glad that we had an overwhelming vote to drop the applicability down to 15. And I do want to take some time to clear up, as I mentioned it in the meeting today, because those who are opposed to this ordinance under any circumstances have put out that we tried to obfuscate in some way. The ordinance as it stands today, as amended, that will be put on the city's website as soon as we can, still fully protects the transgender community, the gay community, as well as all of the other protected groups in the federal statutes and those that we have added locally. What we did in the original language was say, we know this is going to be controversial. We are going to make a separate category, pull the transgender community out, and give an affirmative defense to the business owner. We were actually trying to be extra accommodating to the business owner, but by pulling the transgender community out, the transgender issue out, and highlighting it, somehow we created the impression that they were getting special treatment, or there was some particular special rights that were being conferred. And so what will happen when we pass Councilmember Davis's amendment next week is that all of the protected categories will be treated equally, and we just won't have the additional language trying to spell out for everybody what to do if they have transgender patrons or transgender employees. That stop talking. So we backtracked it. It does not in any way diminish the protections offered to those communities.
Mayor, I know you had quite a number of clergy
in support and standing with you yesterday. The folks
And a
who-
lot of clergy opposed.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to bring up. The people who were opposed, who were here today, said that never once did you try to bring them to the table. Is there going to be any attempt to try to bring them to the table over the next 2 weeks, or do you feel like it is a lost cause when it comes to trying to get them on board or anything you support?
The clergy who are members of the Pastors' Council, who I trust that you were referring to, Dave Wells, Pastor Riggle,
Yes.
Ed Young, they have all been contacted, or certainly I know Ed Young has, not by me, but by other members of the coalition that have been working on this ordinance, so they haven't been ignored. But they have a stated public position against civil rights actions for gay people and transgender people. So, they wouldn't be the highest on my list to reach out to in terms of crafting an ordinance. My understanding is, though, that Councilmember Lastrom may in fact have, and Jen, can you help me with this? Where is Jen? May in fact have reached out to and attended a meeting of the Pastors' Council. It's my understanding that he was going to do that. So, the idea that somehow this is like a secret process, particularly after how many countless hours of public hearings we've had over the last few weeks.
So, Mayor, you had the votes today.
Yeah, we
and,
did.
and as you yourself said, people made up their minds on this. You yourself said that that's pretty clear. Why go along with the delay? Why not just get this over with so you can worry about it?
Because I like inflicting pain on myself? No. I answered the question. We had sufficient votes to pass the item today. Enough council members have publicly declared their support for the item, but there were several council members who fully intend to vote for the item that asked for an opportunity, in the interest of complete transparency and openness on this issue, to have another round of conversations with their various constituent groups. And this has never been about getting something rushed through. It is about getting something right.
And what are your
Would you
thoughts?
anticipate the, sorry,
Well, go ahead, Mike.
would you anticipate the vote count changing? Would you anticipate the 2 weeks leading to any current opponents becoming supporters? I mean, what, if anything, do you see changing and with another 18 hours of public testimony?
Actually, I hope to be able to pick up a couple of votes. The issue today, and it also, those council members who complain about the realities of the strong mayor system here in the city of Houston, those council members who complain about the realities of the fact that the city charter grants full administrative authority within the city to me, and there was some, it also knocked some of that back. We didn't know, we didn't hear, we didn't, that is the reality of the way the system works. So while some of those council members who make those complaints, I fully expect to vote against the ordinance. Again, this is about the vote today, but it is about the whole range of things we have to work through as a body. And just as you saw a calm, orderly process today, and it was clear at the beginning, and it had always been clear, we don't play games with each other here. We don't use parliamentary tricks. This is about working together as a group to get the right answer. We will still pass it next week.
What has the response and the phone calls and the emails to your office, have they been overwhelmingly in favor of the ordinance, or has that feedback been opposed? And second to that, the opposition contends that most of the feedback to council and the mayor has been negative. Don't pass
Yes.
this.
And most of the feedback to council, to my office and to council has been negative, but matters of conscience should not be subject to public popularity. This is a vote on a matter of conscience, and it's very clear that members of council, both my gay colleagues on council, my African American colleagues on council, my Hispanic colleagues on council, my Jewish colleague on council, very fundamentally get that this is a matter of conscience for all of us, and we think it is important to make a statement. And Councilmember Davis was very eloquent after the cameras had all left and today about his personal experiences with discrimination and how he understands the connection here. Just as there are members of the Christian clergy, and that's really the only faith tradition that we have heard from, Christian clergy who have called council and stood in this chamber and said it is fundamentally against their religion to not be allowed to discriminate against gay or transgender people in their places of business or employment. There is no resolution to a statement like that, and since this is an issue of conscience, it is an issue of civil rights, council members are going to have to make their decision based on what is right, not about how many calls they get.
Mayor, you had spoken about the fact that this is a personal issue for you. Can you speak a little bit more about how personal this is for you, and having been in your third term as mayor compared to perhaps a lot of, you try to push through a lot of other controversial or ordinances, whatnot, but how is this compared to the others?
You know, there are a lot of folks who say that putting my personal agenda before the city's agenda. I will point out that I spent the first 4 years in office doing my best to fix things, to push major initiatives through. I clearly put the city's agenda before my own, but I think this is the city's agenda as well. This is about protecting our most vulnerable citizens. No one is going to tell me I can't go into a restaurant in the city of Houston, whatever they may think. No one is going to tell me that I can't patronize their business establishment, a retail store of some kind, no matter what they may think, because I am the mayor of the city of Houston, and I understand the tremendous privileges I have as mayor of the city of Houston. But it is personal to me because I know the people who are facing discrimination. I know what they're going through. I know how much it hurts. And for those of you in the media who were here yesterday and you listened to hours and hours of testimony by people who stood up and said, I don't hate gay people, I don't hate transgender people, I just ought to have the right not to allow them to come into my business. And how incredibly painful that is for those members of the audience who are hearing that, who don't have the privilege that I have.
Well, Mayor, I know this is very personal in your background, your family life. I've watched that, I've heard that, and I applaud what you're doing right now. But I want to get on another subject that I think is maybe interest to you. Mr. Lassiter today questioned again the bid process in terms of he wanted to go back and take the IT program that you have instituted as well as your IT director and question him about a software program that has been implemented across the city and that is working. And he put a tag on that particular item, and that tag he seems to want to unravel the bid process and put it back out for bid because he don't think there was enough participation. What do you think about that?
As I was completely clear at the council table, and this is it's actually related to the question that Doug asked me earlier about, you know, why did I go along with delaying this item for 2 weeks? This is an extreme strong mayor system, and council members have very little opportunity to stop the process as it's moving, because I do have administrative authority within the city. It's clear we had plenty of votes to pass that agenda item. I stated at the council table that the agenda item would not change, and yet council members and Councilmember Lassiter did not ask a single question at the council table. But you heard around the table in the discussion that council members said they would support him because he has a right to tag an item, even if he has no reason for tagging the item. The same way with, there was a I think, a legitimate tag for more information on Councilmember Davis's amendment to the Equal Rights Ordinance. And because of that, because I think it will make it a clearer, cleaner ordinance, we just delayed the whole thing in respect to council members' tags. It's about working together as a collegial body. That item will pass next week. When when you saw the support around the table for it, that's clear.
How old are you on Saturday?